All right, so I'm going to open up a vintage image, and I just wanted to show you how you could fill a space with either color or pattern or an image, okay? So I have my blank document open, and I'm going to go over to my photos because I found a picture from Library of Congress. So I selected that, and then I'm going to transform this so that this gentleman, I don't know who it is. It could be somebody famous. I'm not really sure. Is filling the screen, and then I'm going to hit done. Okay. And for good practice, I'm just going to duplicate the layer because just in case that I really screw this up, you always want to have an extra. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in a file, and this is where you could bring in a pattern. You could bring in just something crazy, okay, that you want to fill a space with. So I'm going to bring in the sunflower. And again, I am going to really fill the sunflower up like pretty much so that it's like really, really big. Okay, so I made it really, really big. And it's transforming. And then I'm going to hide this sunflower, okay? So I'm going to go to this guy, and I'm going to go over to selections, and I'm going to select with the paintbrush, and I'm going to paint over his coat. And, okay. And this is where it could be kind of cool. Maybe I don't want to paint over his hand or whatever, but then I could bring it, whatever. Okay, so now I have this selected, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the sunflower back on, and notice that it still has the selection, and then I'm going to hit mask, okay? And it puts that mask of his coat on there. So what's kind of cool was that I kind of like his hand. I don't know, maybe I want to do, I don't know, I might bring down the opacity of the sunflower to kind of see where his hand is. And I'm going to pick the mask, and then I'm going to go to paintbrush, and I'm going to switch between black, and I'm going to kind of zoom in, and I'm going to make my paintbrush smaller, and I'm going to bring up the hardness, and then I'm going to paint over his hand. I'm going to bring his hand back. I think that would be kind of cool. And remember that this is a mask, so if you screw up, you can always come back. And you got that. And then he has this like cane or something. Okay, I think, okay. And he has a hand over here too. I'm gonna bring that back a little bit. My other thought was maybe, I don't know, I could have brought maybe his hat. Maybe I should have selected his hat. Oh, I think I accidentally, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna bring back the opacity. And then that kind of brings in some, like, that's kind of cool, right? That I brought back some, like, detail of that. But that's how you can bring in, a pattern or a bright image into a vintage image, okay? The other thing you could do is I'm going to get rid of this one, get rid of this layer. Okay, and I could just go ahead and use the paint selection tool and paint, his coat. And then I could go over to the fill, and I could pick a very vivid color. I'm going to pick like a green. And then just fill it in. And I would actually, the fill didn't really work out, so I'm actually going to just use the paintbrush. And I'm going to use a much bigger paintbrush. And I'm just going to paint in the selection. It's taking a really long time. I don't know why. Oh, but I actually kind of like, I don't know. I actually kind of like the splattery. Now that I look at it, I actually kind of like that. Deselect. That's kind of cool. Yeah. The other thing I should have mentioned, let me do this again. I'm going to step back. Is that really good practice is I'm going to actually make a new layer. And on the new layer, I'm actually going to make the fill. And then that would fill in completely. Okay. And now it's on its own layer. But it was kind of cool how it interacted. That was kind of like a happy accident. Or now I could just like do parts of it. That could be cool. And maybe you could just like paint different things. You know, maybe you're putting together like this idea of, you know what I mean? If you want to have more than one color. Or you could do like, you know, Chuck Anderson style and kind of just paint into it, you know, from the edges or whatever. Okay. So those are some different techniques that you could use with that, you know, that vintage image. All right.